Al Gore comparing climate struggle to the civil rights movement. Let's talk to a Republican strategist and founder of the Caldwell Strategic Consulting Group, Caldwell, joins us today from Atlanta. Good morning to you.
Thank you for having me.
So what did you make of our former Veep talking about how climate change relates to the civil rights movement?
You know, I found it to be sad that Al Gore and other liberal elites like him continue to build their intellectually dishonest arguments on the back of African Americans to compare a sincere struggle like civil rights where people were lynched, their families were destroyed, they had to run out of the South and other places because of the democratic policies that were in place at that time. To compare that struggle to climate change shows that they're not ready, the Democratic Party aren't ready to move forward and offer real opportunities to everyone and the policy solutions. They want to continue to use the same played talking points that they've used in the past with things like even the LGBT community, nothing against anyone, of course, but civil rights and the fact that you were born a particular color does not compare to any other fight.
You know what else I find astounding? That Al Gore still hasn't gotten his own act together, leave alone his private jet trips. He also has a house that is roughly 21 times, uses 21 times more for electricity than he even should. He's got a 20-room mansion using over 230,000 kilowatts of electricity over the past 12 months. So everybody else should cut back. He says that every day looking at the weather report is like the book of Revelations, but he doesn't want to put a dimmer on his mansion.
It's the liberal philosophy of do as I say, not as I do. That's exactly what that is.
Let's talk about Chicago. I know you're from Chicago originally, and the violence there, it's just over the top. The numbers are staggering. The numbers just in July have pushed Chicago's 2017 homicide total past 400. What do you think needs to be done to stop this?
You know what, this segment here is very, very personal to me. Back on Memorial Day, my younger sibling, my younger kid brother, was in a car with two of his friends on the south side of Chicago when two men walked up and riddled the car with 25 bullets. Thankfully, my younger brother lived, but his best friend died in his arms. When I hear about the violence in Chicago, obviously it impacted me personally, but it impacted so many others. When I learned about the situation, I immediately scheduled a meeting with the Trump administration, senior officials over at the Trump administration, and I went to them and I told them what happened. And I said, it's time for President Trump to keep his commitment to send the feds into Chicago. And as you know, recently federal agents did go into Chicago, but it shouldn't stop there. Because we see with a mayor like Rahm Emanuel, who's a very dishonest politician, who clearly has shown that black lives don't matter to Rahm Emanuel, black votes matter to Rahm Emanuel. More importantly, sanctuary, keeping the city sanctuary city status is what's important to Rahm Emanuel. The African Americans of that city and other groups who are concerned with the violence should stand up, band together, and vote out that very dishonest mayor. Because at this time, he's shown where his real consideration is, and it is not with the violence on the south and west sides of Chicago, and even now in the downtown areas.
You know, the thing is, regardless of where you stand with Rahm Emanuel, just look at the record. How does he possibly run on that? How could he honestly say that he's got a strategy that's even been implemented to be somewhat effective? It's almost been ignored.
And that's absolutely true. And the reason that he doesn't run on any particular record is because he knows that it's failed. So the only benefits that he can do to try to prop himself up to possibly win an election is to be all in on sanctuary cities and illegal immigrants. And I tell you, it's disenfranchising many in that city because you're looking to legitimately protect some, not all, within sanctuary cities that are there illegally have committed crimes. So with that being the case, what message are you really communicating to Chicagoans? Are you the mayor of all people, or are you the mayor of a select few? And right now he's demonstrated that he's the mayor of a select few, and he's personally impacting the people in my very own family, and it's disheartening.
How is your brother, Gianna?
I'm thankful to say that we moved him right out of Chicago 2 weeks later, so he's now in California. And I'm thankful that he's safe, he feels better, that he's in a safer environment. But I'm telling you, look, when I was growing up in Chicago, you had to be a part of the life. When people were shot, they usually were part of gang activity or in gangs, and that happened on a number of occasions. Now you can be an infant baby. You can be a senior citizen. It can be me, you, or anyone else just walking the streets of Chicago and literally be shot. So when President Trump said, hey, you can walk outside and be shot, and I know liberals were outraged by that, but it was simply the truth. I don't agree with everything President Trump says or how he says it. But in this instance, my personal experience agrees with what President Trump says. And absolutely, I appreciate the president. And President Trump, I'm sure you're listening. I have a special message for you. Continue to keep the heat on Chicago and its politicians, because they've clearly demonstrated they will not do anything to prevent the violence, especially if it's not lining their pockets. So we need you, sir, in Chicago to keep the heat up, because that seems like that's the only time that they're concerned with the violence in Chicago, not by the citizens that are dying in their city on a daily basis.
Well, the numbers tell the story.
Yeah, I mean, your brother is so fortunate to have you in his life. You helped move him. You helped get the federal troops in there to clean up Chicago. Thank you for all that you're doing.